having values that I have strong and deep conviction about, finding skills that I know will be needed still in 10, 15 years, figuring out how the world is changing around me and innovations in all forms, learning to shift faster, and finding out the things that I'm uniquely equipped to bring into the world. I am doing this because there is no way I'm going to be hustling at 40 years old. These are my last 10 good working years, because at 40, I am not doing this. I've been thinking about how I'm going to level up my career going into the new year. This year, I made a lot of changes. I became a software engineer because 16-year-old me saw an opportunity in coding. I am still living with the repercussions of choices that I made 10 years ago. And it was very important for me to take out the time and figure out how I was moving forward. The first thing I'm going to try to optimize is something that Jeff Bezos talks about.
Which made the decision incredibly easy, was what I called, which only a nerd would call, a regret minimization framework. So I wanted to project myself forward to age 80 and say, okay, now I'm looking back on my life. I want to have minimized the number of regrets I have.
I know what it feels like to have something you deeply believe in, and I want to be able to make sure I build my life around those deep convictions. So the first thing in the pyramid of figuring out what I want to do with myself for the year, as Peter Thiel would say,
something that's true that nobody agrees with you on.
I'm also going into the new year understanding that my unique circumstance in life, all the things that have made me me, add up to a very complicated, nuanced, and wonderful individual, just like every other person. And I have this deep belief that there is something I'm uniquely meant to bring into the world. Whether it was crypto last year, AI this year, or whatever is coming down the pipeline next year. The world around us is going to be changing at a pace that we've never seen before. So it's good to obviously focus on the things that are changing, but I'm trying to find the meta things that will stay the same throughout my career. And these are some of the skills I think I will need to master. Public speaking. Something I really hate about the internet, especially as we've had the advent of TikTok, is how people cannot speak articulately. There are so many but if in my head, you've had the time to edit this video so you could remove that. Girl, like, we need to speak better. So I'm trying to make sure I improve my speaking skills. I'm grateful that I had the private school liberal arts education that helped me even write papers in math, but I think I just want to improve my writing ability. You know, when you read good writing, you want to write good writing so other people can read your writing. I want to write something that other people like to read. So I have to learn how to speak better. And in order to do so, I have to learn how to write better. But in order to write better, I have to be willing to ask the right questions. Something I think about a lot is how when we're kids, we are not taught there is something as a bad question. But when you're an adult, they're actually bad questions, but they're also very good questions. And being able to take a step back and look at the world through a completely new lens so you can ask the proper questions. Something I have deeply learned from a book I read, How to Think More Effectively by The School of Life. I really like this book because it makes you question the things around you. So much of adulthood is being born into a world that you feel like it's already been built.
And your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life.
And this book allows you to see the world as something you can mold and shape, and just makes you think a little better. My goal this new year is to ask better questions, write better, and speak better. Another advantage of asking good questions is that it allows you to come up with original ideas. Like, I think about Airbnb. I don't think there's anybody in their right mind who would have thought that people would be willing to rent out their homes to random strangers on the internet. But sometimes, if you're willing to suspend some preconceived notions, you can actually come up with remarkable ideas. So that's my goal going into the new year, to be willing to question some of the things I see around me and come up with far more original ideas, because there will always be a marketplace for people who are innovative and can execute on those ideas. Now that I've covered the things that I know will be valuable in 10, 15 years, I now have to ask myself, what are the things that I know will change, and where do I think there will be opportunity? Whenever I think of innovations, I always classify them under 3 buckets. You have the technological innovation. These are the improvements in AI or nuclear fusion or new ways of curing disease. And then we have moral innovation. So these are the changes in laws and regulations. A good example of a moral innovation is the civil rights movement that meant that Black people who were prevented from occupying certain positions or going certain places were now allowed to. Another example of that is the women's rights movement. So whenever there are movements like that, there is opportunity. And the last form of innovation is a social innovation. So that's a change in the way people live. A good example of that is dating apps. Before, people met in school or at work, and now they meet on Tinder or Bumble. Some innovations are not purely one thing or the other. A good example of that is marijuana legalization. There is the social aspect of people now understand that smoking marijuana is not some kind of terrible thing that's only done by delinquents. And then there are governments that understand that maybe we should legalize these things, or at least decriminalize it. So it's both a moral and a social innovation. But there are also things like veganism that is a combination of all 3. You have the technological aspect that allows people to be able to make cultured meat. You have the social innovation. That means that there are people like me who are simply lactose intolerant. We cannot drink regular milk. And then there is the moral innovation of animals as sentient beings who feel pain and deserve a good life. Because I have that frame to view the world, I'm going to be looking around the corner for any innovations I see coming down the pipeline. Any ways I think I can capitalize on unique opportunities. The fourth thing I'm going to do very much is learn to ship. There's nothing like being able to come up with an idea, go through the tedious process of figuring out how to execute on it, executing on it, and actually shipping it. Many people think they are shipping products by planning. You are not shipping anything. You are wasting everybody's time, especially yours. So now that I've had like my pyramid of how I'm going to navigate the world, the last part of the pyramid, which is the top part of the pyramid, which is what I'm still trying to figure out, is how I can have like my Midas touch. You know, there is Beyonce with a lowercase b. That was Beyonce when she was like in Destiny's Child, when she was trying to figure out herself, when she was very much Tina Turner-esque, even though she was exceptional. But then there's Beyonce with an uppercase B, like all caps Beyonce. Who is this dominant force? Who is this enigma? Then there's Zuckerberg with a lowercase z. Who was this boy from Harvard who wanted to put the yearbook on the internet? But then there's Zuckerberg, like uppercase Zuckerberg, who is this titan of industry. I feel like I am trying to become Chisom, like Chisom, this person. And I'm still just Chisom with lowercase c, just trying to navigate the world and trying to see how I can get here. And in order to be able to become Chisom, like this person, I have to find out the things I can do uniquely. And it's very hard to actually answer that question. A friend of mine who was an artist was like, think about the question you really want to solve, the question that keeps on coming back into your head. And I like that idea, but I think of a lot of stupid things. I think of stupid things all the fucking time. Like, I can't even take myself seriously. But at the top of my pyramid, which is the most important part, is to figure out the things that I can uniquely bring into the world and being able to go 100% in that. My name is Chisom. I'm just like a wonderful person. Like, oh my God, bro, like I'm so good. Like, you should like me and you should subscribe because like, why wouldn't you? Are you like, I will see you all next time.